was a episode from Shark Tank 2009. A lady had pitched that Shark Tank.
Radio that they were
Fight
curfew at the bars
mask
in Nashville again at
design
10
went out
o'clock.
on it. She got shot down sitting there with
Sure.
her. In 2009.
All right, Gary.
You got it, you know what I mean?
Trying to keep them
Yeah,
congregating
all right.
inside.
Rich today.
Hello, Gary Walsh.
Hey, I hear you.
Dr. Walsh, would you like some stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Just designing.
Oh,
Oh,
anybody
I got
need
my
a?
stuff.
How are you?
Well, how about you?
Doing good. Who's that man?
It is. Miles back to hell on fire.
Are you, sir?
Wash. It's one like this. I think. That's a county name.
You want one?
I see them, that's where I see them at.
Yeah, the health department.
Yeah, he gave me a bunch of them.
Ain't worth a dime in the factory.
The county administrative
I
office.
saw the
provided
news where
the health
Vanderbilt's
department.
asking people to make masks and donate them to the hospital.
Yeah.
They probably go through a lot. Sure. It's easier if you like tie
Right
on
there,
each
put
side,
both
two on each side
big
to make
wires
it some
to it,
ears like
start
that.
those up.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I did.
We have the most deaths today we've had
You'll
the
have
whole
to
year and the most
make it
people
kinda tight
infected.
and then put it on and adjust it.
Oh, that's how you want to do that. You don't have
Yeah,
to
'cause
tie
that
it all
hard,
the time.
yeah, it's
I don't
hard to
work
keep
on
them on, they slide
Well, I've
off.
got 6 o'clock. Y'all want to get started? Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. We'll call the meeting of the Education Committee to order. First item of business is roll call. Let me do that, or you want to do that?
You can do it if you wish.
Mayor Chambers,
Here.
Jerry Ford, Richard Hart,
Here.
Dwight Jewell here, Grace Thomas absent, Gary Walsh
Here.
Johnny Kerr,
Here.
Linda Johnson,
Here,
Landon Gully,
Here.
and we also have President Dr. Satterfield and Chris Gregory. We do have a quorum. First item of business, approve the agenda sent out to you. Pretty brief. Few things of old business and one item of new business. Mr.
Move to approve the agenda.
We have a motion to approve and a second by Mr. Ford. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is done. All right, first thing that we have is just an update on the middle school roof project. I know that they had some material dropped off, or just kind of give us a brief update of where we are. I'm sorry.
You gonna
You guys approved the minutes.
I thought we did.
No,
We approved the agenda. I'm sorry.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
The motion and second to approve the minutes from 5/21. All in favor, please say aye. It is done. Sorry. Got ahead of myself. Middle school roof project.
I'll start with that. We actually had our first construction meeting this week. There were some schematic drawings that had to be completed and approved by the state. And they said that's what they were waiting on. I can only assume. I think we got off of, where we got delayed that month. I think, they had us kind of plugged in, I think. And I think they kind of went to another project, it feels like to me, and we got off schedule. But A-Alert is ready to go. They were on site this week. I think if you drive back behind Andrews, you can see where they've dropped off a pallet of materials where they're working around those hoods and vents up on the roof. But he said materials were coming. We picked a site where they would drop. Mr. Gully, we're going to put those down there where the old Kate Wilson gym is. And thought that would be most out of the way for students and people trying to come in and out of the building. The other thing is he's going to, he pretty much left it like, where do you want us to start? And I asked him to start on the north side where the 8th grade wing is, where that science lab is. in the 6th grade wing, and then working from north to south. Because where we've got the most trouble is right there in that principal's office area. You know, where if you've been to school a long time ago, where Miss Purnell's room was, that type of thing. So he said that on August the 3rd, he will be on site every day. So that's where we are on that.
2 weeks.
And I know that
About 2 weeks, that's pretty good.
I know the money has been transferred over to our account, Mayor. So we'll be making those pay applications ourselves. That's all that I have on that.
Any questions, Ms. Kelly?
I do have one, in terms of the roof. I know they were gonna move the fresh air intakes.
You know, really, what he's talking about now, and I don't have a definitive on that, but when we got in on that slope of that roof and got that 1 to 12 inch fall, and we had looked about, you know, how high it wasn't, and we were talking about, like, the general public might drive by and say, I don't see a roof because it's not high enough. But Brandon, the engineer, seems to lead me to think that he's not going to have to elevate those fresh air units, that he can work around them. You know, like, you know, he'll be able to put the roof around them
Right.
and not have to raise them and put them on scaffolding. But he has not said that as a definitive.
Yeah.
But he said, I think once we get up there, we can work around it, is what he's told me.
That sounds interesting. I asked that only in terms of ventilation in our building during a time we're fixing to head back to school, kids are in the school building.
Right.
I know in each of our classrooms, there's a fresh air vent taking, sucking air out, put it back in the hallways.
Right.
I think that was put in a couple of years ago, but if that's, so are those gonna be running? Are those not gonna be running?
I can't answer that definitively here. I'm just saying that Brandon said he thought he could work around them, and with that, they would be running. But I don't know that. I can't answer that with 100% certainty.
I wouldn't think they'd have them all cut off at once. I mean, it might be that this one's all
That's
part
what
of the day.
that's what I was about to say. If
Yeah,
they're
I thought, yeah.
working in a certain area, they may have to
For a little while.
pull
That's
the
what I was
breaker
gonna
on that
say,
one,
yeah.
but,
Depending on what area, they might have to shut it for a few
and if he
hours.
can work around them and stuff, then
Right.
there would be no reason to turn them off.
Right.
Only unless they,
Unless they get something.
flying in and out, yeah.
That's all I know.
I only asked
mean,
that in terms of where
yeah.
we are with virus species and where
Right,
things are headed.
yes.
We sit in a room with the way those air conditioners work. I don't know if everyone understands how an air conditioner works, but all they're doing is circulating the air in the room if there's not any air coming out of
That's
the
right.
rooms.
Yeah.
So it might be something we need to.
Yeah, we certainly
thought into
inquire
it.
about that. I haven't asked that. I mean, I hadn't thought to ask.
I mean, it'd just be circulating the same air in the room
Right.
the whole time. Otherwise,
Yes, sir.
is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's a good question.
But he's right. We put 3 fresh air units when we did that HVAC renovation 5 or 6 years ago. And because you got to bring it up to standards, and there's a certain amount of fresh air that has to be circulated.
certain amount of negative air pressure
Right.
maintained in a room.
Mhm. But I'll check into that. That's
I'm
good.
thinking otherwise we might need to make alternative plans.
Yes.
If we go, other than, we just got
Yeah.
air completely, same air is getting breathed in that room all day long.
Right.
Our health, kids' health,
Absolutely.
thought process.
Yes, sir. It's just something that
Another piece.
I haven't thought about, and it wasn't brought up in the construction meeting, but I can certainly shoot an email to them.
During that part of the construction meeting, we were expecting it to be
Mhm.
over the summer.
Mhm.
But so
Right.
things have changed, plans changed.
Right.
I'm sure they work on it as they go and give you, I'm
Yeah,
sure
I'll
the
work to
plan.
get an answer. to
Sounds
that.
good. I just a good question for us going forward. I asked that to Mr. McCall last week, and just kind of we were discussing a few things, and I thought he might have already asked you, but I don't know.
We've been doing a lot of things. I don't know.
There's a lot going on. I understand
Yes,
that too.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm not saying he didn't ask.
Completely understood. I just something that had popped in my mind why I thought about that. Don't know.
Last week was rather busy in the school industry.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Surely not.
Just as busy today as it was then, I'm afraid.
Well, at least we don't have the meetings that we had then last week.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes, Paul?
I just want to ask Mr. Sutherland if we got straight with architectural fees and all that, did we get that straightened out? Well, that's supposed to be included in the.
It is, but we've got to figure out how we're going to swap that $60,000. I mean, it hadn't been high priority with us. I mean, we'll figure it out sometime. Been more concerned about getting school started and, you know, getting this roof project going. But there's $63,000.
Is that what the architectural fee turned out?
Yes, sir.
to be?
Yes.
I know we were talking maybe in the 50s, so. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
60, 63, somewhere in that neighborhood is where it is. I saw it the other
You got a
day.
10% contingency fee in there that'll cover it anyway, unless they, for some reason, used all of it.
Well, we hadn't used any contingency money yet. Hopefully we won't.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I said we hadn't used any contingency money to this time.
Right.
If they don't have to elevate the air things and all that too, that might be less cost
Yeah.
and less time.
I definitely it was definitely made clear to me if we have to raise them, we don't have to raise them much.
Yeah.
Is what I definitely heard
But I'm
that.
just saying, if you don't have to at all, then I mean, that should be a little less cost and hours and maybe,
Absolutely.
I know, any other questions on that? Okay. Moving on, put on here the school opening plan. You know, we discussed it a little bit, I think, the last time we met, of the possibilities, and I know y'all have been in the thick of it with the parents and meetings and board meetings and things. Just, no, I don't want anything elaborate, but just kind of tell us where we're at now as far as opening dates, and I know the buses were an issue and things like that.
You want me to take that, Clint?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just kind of,
I can give you
an
a
overview.
summary.
yeah.
School starts Thursday, week from today. Half the students, roughly half, you know, you never get exactly, but half will come on Thursday, half will come on Friday.
That'll be the 30th and 31st.
Yes. Those days are always hectic in normal times.
Right.
I can't imagine how hectic they'll be this time. Both at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. But I would suggest the word of the day on those days be patience. Always is, but you know, they will be very hectic, especially at somewhere like the elementary school with the young ones and that type of thing. But you know, basically the board voted in June to start what we named a blended plan, which I think everybody's heard about. Roughly half the kids would go on a Monday, is it Monday, Thursday?
Yes, sir.
And then the other half on Tuesday, Friday. Parents had an option to sign up for virtual school if they didn't feel comfortable sending their kids back, and they meet the state guidelines. That program had specific things set in place by the State Department of Ed that families had to meet to sign up for that. And I know it's over 200 now.
I believe it was around 214, 215 last time.
And I think that's great that we've had that many sign up. That's just that much, you know, less. You know, it's great on one way, and you know, it's bad that 200 and something families, give or take, didn't feel comfortable enough sending their kids back to school.
Homeschooling?
Well, it's not really homeschool, Jerry. They are at home and they're going to school at home, but it's a virtual academy-like thing they're going through. It's a whole program that's approved by the State Department of Education, and it's through the school system, and it's our teachers working. We're providing the teachers and that type of thing. Whereas in a homeschool, the parents take that responsibility on themselves. You know, but this
My
is.
concern there is how's it gonna affect you financially?
Well, they're our students, they're on our roles, they're being served by our teachers using our curriculum.
Right.
What about the ones that are not gonna be taught? Is that gonna affect your daily attendance and your money coming from the state?
No,
No.
like if they come on Monday but don't come on Tuesday, they have there's a whole process there. Just because they're not at school on that day, they still have schoolwork to perform.
Okay.
And their teachers assign that work. They will do that through their Chromebooks. And there's a varied way that students can get credit for that day. They may shoot their teacher an email about a math thing that Mr. Gully has to answer. It may be when they come back in on Thursday and the assignments that they were assigned on Tuesday upload back into the system, and teacher sees where they completed them. Then obviously they did what they were supposed to
Hurt
do.
your attendance,
Shouldn't.
Okay.
We hope
That's what I
that,
was concerned about.
we
Right.
actually hope that it will help our attendance.
Right.
I'm looking at it from that perspective, it might.
And
If you break even with it, you better be careful.
well,
Well,
I mean,
if you-
it's a whole new ball game. It's a
Right,
whole-
if you get anything else, that's just
Right.
a little
Well,
crazy.
well, the thing is, you know, families have got to make some tough choices here.
Mhm.
And so all of a sudden, every morning I wake up, there's some virtual academy that you can join to go like online homeschool.
Mhm.
Students who do that, they're not our students and we would lose that funding.
Right.
But the sale point for us on the virtual is it's our teachers, our curriculum, our schedule. And matter of fact, we're still letting our virtual students participate in extracurricular activities. We even have right now a virtual cheerleader.
So how's it gonna affect your bus routes? Not at all?
Well, actually, if those students are on virtual, it will lessen the impact.
Right.
There'll be that fewer kids that'll be on the
Totally
bus.
in that respect.
Right now, that's one of the biggest areas, the buses. We looked at, Dr. Satterfield, I know, and Mr. Cawthorn looked at different areas. Some had recommended 1 to a seat. If you look at that, there's no social distancing there.
No,
When you're that far away from, so.
breathing all over each other.
So we're gonna require students wear masks on the bus for the protection of themselves and the bus driver. There'd be 2 to a seat, and,
The provision of families, if they were siblings, that they sent.
Sure.
You're gonna take temperatures and stuff like that, will that happen?
well, the nurses can do that at not the bus drivers won't. They're
I
not,
know the bus
they're
driver.
not qualified to
As
do
a
that. But
school
each
or
school,
something?
we hired a new nurse.
Yeah.
So we now have a nurse that's gonna be at every school. And so the nurses will take care of those protocols and that thing in conjunction with Kathy Atwood and what's all been worked out there. But if a child gets sick at school, they would be sent to the nurse, not to the principal.
Yeah,
And
so-
the nurse would do what is medically advised, feasible for that particular child.
Okay.
Right.
So, Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, nothing on Wednesday? Or-
Except at the elementary school.
Okay.
People can sign up for an extra day at the elementary school. Those kids,
What about extracurricular activities, phys ed, et cetera?
PE, you're talking about?
Yeah.
You're talking about phys ed class?
Yeah.
Well, that's not really an extracurricular activity. That's a class during the day.
Right.
Extracurricular would be football, volleyball, and all that, which is governed by TSSAA. And they've come out with some things, but they're still working on their guy. I believe they said like next Tuesday. And there's no telling what's gonna change between now and next Tuesday.
No.
But, Dr. Satterfield has a plan on PE.
Yeah, but for phys ed, we're gonna meet all of our required minimum phys ed requirements in K through
Lady over
8.
there today talking about that, she said they needed that as bad as they did anything.
They
Sure.
need a break.
Think about it on down the road.
Now, there's certain games they're not gonna be able to play, you know,
Yeah.
and those type things to try to, you know.
And you probably don't know yet about football, do you?
Well, like I said, that's a TSSAA.
They ain't made a call on it yet, have they?
Well, they had a meeting yesterday. I haven't had a chance to study that a great deal yet, but it looks like they're going to try to start the season around September the 18th. They're really counting on the governor to give them some type of reprieve. You know, right now we're in that executive order number 50, which kicks in executive order 38 that says they can't be 6 foot from each other. If we play 6 foot under that rule, there's going to be a lot of points scored. You know.
I might could score on that.
Yeah, everybody stays 6 foot away. But I just think that's really going to be tough. Wesley coaches at University of Richmond. That conference has postponed football, you know, for the fall. Maybe looking to play it in the spring. I know that the historically black college district where Jackson State and Grambling are, they have postponed football as well. I think there's a lot of decisions to make on football going forward. I don't think they've landed the plane on this one yet.
You know, what the TSSAA, some of the things they talked about is limiting the size of the crowd. You know, no more than a certain number of people. No concession stands. They're advising, they're not saying cut, but they're advising you not to have concession stands. And so, I mean, it's just going to be
Whole new ballgame.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
and who knows what'll come out Tuesday, if they even have it ready by Tuesday. They keep kicking it down the, you know, it's always next week.
The governor mentioned today, next Tuesday, the CDC was gonna release something, so he was waiting to release his information.
Right.
During his speech, I heard that, I didn't catch that part.
Yeah.
I don't know what's so big about next Tuesday.
Well, so many school systems are starting up. So TSSAA is gonna release theirs, and then he's gonna have some back to school stuff ready on Tuesday too. And so, I mean, he's literally waited to the last minute.
Well, maybe he's buying time to see what was gonna happen with this man.
Well, he is, but he also ordered 135 school districts to come up with a back to school plan.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that. I mean, everybody's done it. Tomorrow's the deadline to turn it into the state. And then he says today, and on Tuesday, we'll give you some more stuff to go by.
Yeah, I heard
Well, what if our plan doesn't meet what comes out on Tuesday? You know.
You have to back up and hunt, that's
You
what
know.
I mean.
And school starts on Thursday.
You still got a meeting.
You know. That's what I say. The school business is a whole. Makes me glad I retired.
Well, it's kind
Don't
of
have
like
to with it
everything
at all.
else.
Right.
It's like everything else. Nobody else knows what to do.
That's right. That's
I mean,
right.
economically, it's killing the
Well,
state in a sense.
We're doing
It is. And if you've noticed, several counties that back in June had already adopted a plan, they're now changing and going to a plan like what we adopted back in June, and then readopted again last Thursday night, recertified, and you know, and if they're even going at all, you know.
We've seen a lot reverse that going to forward.
That's right. That's right. And I think you'll see
County.
more of that.
You've seen them this week, I've seen quite a few
Yeah,
start.
I know Davidson County said, and then Clarksville, Montgomery just pushed everything back. They're, you know,
Yeah.
they're waiting and.
Oh, just starting date back.
Yeah, they just said they're gonna wait. What I think, Mr. Goodell, what I heard there, I think of what I heard, that they're trying to take all their stockpile days on the front end.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good idea, but I mean, it works for them, I guess.
You
But
know,
they're
it's
gonna
just
try-
gonna be another weird year. You know, like I said, the key word this year is patience,
And flexibility.
flexibility. It always is, but it's especially that this year. And
It's a fluid situation, and we all know.
I mean, nobody really knows, you know, what is around the corner.
No.
you
You don't know
know,
where it's
Have to
going.
wait and see.
that's right, that's right.
Well, I think when I saw the plan, it was obvious that y'all had put a lot of time and a lot of work into it. And under the circumstances, I don't know how you could have done any better than what was done. I know there were some people that wanted it all or none, but I think it's workable, it's doable, and I wish you the best of luck with it. That's all I can say.
Well, it kind of puts us in the middle
Yeah.
where, you know, we can really flip the switch. If we can stay in the school till Labor Day, and, you know, if we have time for our teachers and students to practice with blended learning, the learning management system that we call Google Classroom,
Right.
and the Chromebooks, and our people have time to practice.
Get used to the method.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then if we have to go to distance learning, we'll be able to flip the switch really quickly.
Absolutely.
And we'll be able to serve students a lot better than we were in the spring.
Sure.
And then if COVID is eradicated, you know, like I told Mr. Kerr, you know, he asked that question, how long will it take you to go back to a traditional plan? I said, well, we're going to have to change some staff and change some schedules. But, you know, we've been doing the Carnegie school system for the last 100 years. You know, I think we can probably go back to doing that like we used to pretty quick. But it would take a little bit. I can't flip the switch on the traditional. But this thing is really set up to be hybrid and then to go distance, you know, for of closure.
Well, I don't see if you get into it and say by Christmas it's worked relatively well, even if the vaccines are coming out then or the first January, what they're saying possibly, by the time you get them all administered, if they're effective, you know, you're already into February, March, you might as well continue with it. You know, I don't see not, whatever you're doing, you're gonna have to do the whole school year. I mean,
Probably.
Just kind of have to wait and see.
it would be extremely unlikely for it.
The thing that has really resonated with me, and my personal physician told me this, and I've also heard somebody else say this, and he was simplifying things. He said, you know, you can clean all the doorknobs you want, you can wash your hands as often as you want, you can use as much hand sanitizer as you want. He said, Clint, there's only two things that stops the spread. One, you stay away from other people, social distancing. When that cannot be done, you gotta wear a mask.
Yeah.
And the foundation is to stay apart and to wear a mask. And our plan gives us the best hope to go to school and do those two things.
Right. Right.
In addition to the disinfecting and other things
Right,
that we'll
right.
do.
Until you get a vaccine, that's about all you can do.
Then
And
you
hopefully we'll
don't-
have that for the first of the year.
Well, and the thing now with vaccines, there's parents that won't even make their kids take the measles vaccine.
I
Measles
know.
has made a big comeback.
Yeah, there's a lot of that out there.
I'd say if we polled everybody in this room, not everybody in this room takes the flu shot every year. You know, I do, but you know, what I'm saying is, you don't know how many people won't take the vaccine, even when there's one available.
That's right. There will be a lot.
Exactly.
Well, we're already into 3 mutations of this thing. There's a strain A, B, and C. You know, I mean,
That's right.
you may have D, F, G, H, and K by the time they even get a vaccine for the first one. But so we'll deal with it. We're dealing with it now. But appreciate y'all updating us on that and all the hard work that you put into trying to put it together and make it work. I know it's certainly not been easy.
But one thing is, you know, they give the county so much CARES money and stuff. This is going to be a very expensive school year when you buy masks and hand sanitizer and stuff like that. And we get some CARES money, but nobody knows how much this is going to wind up costing
Right.
throughout the year. So just be, you know, willing to look and see because this is like a tornado coming through. It's nothing you can plan for. And it's an emergency type situation for a year and just be, you know, willing to look and see. how we can all work together to get through this.
All you can do is take your trial and error and adjust where you have to.
Yep.
Here's a
You
thought,
probably will have to, who knows?
a thought too, I mean, I know you asked for students to bring supplies.
Not this year.
No. So
Can't
what
afford, you can't afford that no more.
well, what I was gonna say, well, that's what I'm saying in the past, that's what we've
Right,
asked.
right.
But what I'm saying now, if we can send something to ask them to send the necessary, and it's hard to get a hold of a lot of, you know, the Clorox wipes, extra hand sanitizers, masks, or even make donations.
We're not gonna ask for anything. They don't want you to.
But if they wanna just give you, or just money, or.
Now, that's a
Now,
different
if you can
story.
take well, but I mean, if you wanna take donations, because since they're not allowed, I guess they really don't want you to, well.
You don't wanna be
take
bringing in a
things
lot of
in.
stuff from outside, right?
So if, you know, and I know not everybody can afford stuff, but, I mean, if there's a way, if they wanna make donations to help purchase, I mean, I don't know how we'd wanna go about that somehow.
Like I said, it's just that everything is
Individual.
completely different.
Guess that's an individual person.
Well, one of the
But I think
things
it's
that we're,
ideal.
one of the things that we're in the process of doing is, and I don't know exactly where we are on that, but we've got hand sanitizer dispensers in every classroom, and we're gonna keep those full where
Right.
they can use them. We've actually put some in our gymnasiums this summer for our teams. And the wipes is definitely a challenge, just the availability of them. Mr. Cothran's working with a system where you actually, it's a device that you actually make your own towels. You use our disinfectant and you make them. You put them in a canister, leave them overnight, and they draw up, and then you distribute them. But one of the things that Mr. Kerr's alluding to, we just wanted to stay out of the conversation about we don't have enough wipes or hand sanitizer, and
Right.
put that burden on families. They've got enough burden, you know, just worrying about feeding their
Yeah.
family and the stress of that.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we're going to work on.
Right.
And we haven't even, on our supply list that our teachers do, we've actually asked our teachers don't ask for hand sanitizer or the disinfecting wipes. We'll take care of that on our end. Now, if a student wanted to have one of those little bottles of hand sanitizer that they put in their backpack
Yeah.
or carried with them, you know, I think that would be a great idea. You know,
As long as it's one of the ones that's not toxic. You know, the story of today is so many of those that have come out of Mexico are toxic.
I didn't know.
They got an ingredient in there called methanol or something like that. Am I pronouncing that right? And it's actually toxic to people, and it absorbs into the skin. And so whenever you're using that, doing it, you're actually poisoning yourself. And it being a product from Mexico, they're not even listing it on the ingredients list. So, you know, they found some companies that put it down as, what is it, ethyl alcohol, that's the one you're supposed to use. And they're putting it down as that, but it's not. So, I mean,
Hopefully that's like ethanol.
right.
Ethanol.
And that's been on the newscast on every section I've seen today.
I had just
They
said that,
can't tell you which brand.
the supplies, because, you know, we're saying that'd be a costly, you know, and you trying to save the.
Well,
you know,
We're trying to take that burden off our
Right.
families.
Some people have
Did you
sensitivity.
see those nebulizers, you know, that they use in hotels and stuff, puts that spray out and
Oh, yeah.
you know, we ordered 12 of them.
But they have not been delivered
And I
yet.
know, they're $700 a piece.
Yeah.
You know, prices just
That's
skyrocketed
what I'm
on that
saying, there's
stuff.
gonna be extra, I'm just trying to think of, you know, kind of help somehow, you know,
Yeah.
but anyway, we might think of something later.
Anything else? Okay. Last time we met, we talked a little bit about the needed renovations at the stadium. Just want to give you a chance to talk about that again if we needed to, or let us know where we're at, or what we need to be trying to do.
Well, Election day will
Hopefully.
decide that.
Yeah, okay.
2 weeks from today.
Early voting now, right?
That's right, I voted
I've already
right before I came over here, yeah.
I've been very, encouraged, guardedly optimistic, at the, people that have said they, voted in favor of it and understood the reasoning behind it and agreed with it. And I've really not had anybody that I've talked with that was just terribly negative about it. Everybody seems to be, so I'm very guardedly optimistic that it's going to happen. I really feel.
Looks like wheel taxes, as fair as your taxes
Yeah,
you have.
it is the most fair.
Yeah,
If a lot of people
absolutely.
understand why we're trying to get it
Well,
increased.
my problem,
But a lot of
the only
people
thing I
don't
saw the
understand
potential
it.
problem was, it's on the last page, and if you don't look, you think you're through voting,
Well,
you know?
it won't let you unless you go to that page.
Right.
Clear out the machine. So,
But Mr. Paxton told me he's averaging over 100 voters a day. The early turnout is.
and there'll be, I doubt that the vote count on that issue will equal the vote count on some of the races. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? There'll be a lot of people that won't vote one way or the other.
Right.
Maybe.
So hopefully, we'll just cross our fingers, we'll know soon enough, and, we can go from there.
Too, I think, Chris, you talk about it in your articles, explain what it's for and everything too, right? Kinda.
Well, I've mentioned, the estimates on what it would bring in. It hasn't
What
really
it-
been
what
designated
it
for
would
any
use.
particular function
But I mean,
that I'm aware of.
most of it, a lot of it. goes
I
to
hadn't heard any
schools.
negativism about it at all.
Which would be good, it should be bad. But anyway, it's, we'll know soon enough. It was worth trying, it didn't. But I feel pretty optimistic about it. Moving on to new business, time again for our quarterly report. Dr. Satterfield, do you wanna go over that
I
a
will.
little bit tonight?
I did. I did not bring the printout.
Printout.
I didn't want to steal the show, for everybody. So, but I will share this. I think is important is we have closed our books for this
Okay.
year, and we were estimated to have a deficit of $925,401. We closed our books with that deficit at $583,920. So if there's a positive side, we saved $340,000. So we slowed that deficit bleed down a little bit.
Do you know what
Our
your
ending fund balance.
is?
Yeah, well, I'm just estimating.
Or roughly.
Yeah, but it was supposed to be 3.0. It looks like it'll be about 3.3. And so, that would kick in, with our estimated deficit next year, our end of fund balance for June 30, 2021, where we've got on the books is 1.8 would be 2.1. So that's a little
Yeah.
better.
Little wiggle room.
Yep. So I think that's what most people would want to know anyway, but I'll bring the whole financial
Okay.
statement and give it to everybody on Monday night.
What'd you say that original projected number was? I'm sorry.
The-
900 and some change.
925,401,
Sorry.
and then we closed at 583,920.
I think I got all the rest of it, just didn't get that.
Okay,
Okay.
300 and something $1,000 difference.
That's good. Have you noticed the, difference in the last few months on the sales tax?
I haven't looked at it last month, but before the last time I looked at it, our sales tax was up.
It is, and this last month, it was as well. I think we were, when most of the state and others were showing decreases, we had, and Mayor, you may have helped me, I think over last year, same month, it was 22,000, 22, 24, 20 something. And one month it was as much as 32, and another one was 24, I think. So out of the four, it has been positive. There was one month, I think, which would have been February's figures when we first lost the two stores, was down slightly, maybe.
I think there was a very, very slight drop,
Yeah,
and
like
then
$2,000 or $1,500 or something.
well, according to what
Last year's 100.
Yes, versus the year before, versus the year before. So, right now, still, we're seeing it trending up, and I really think that has to do with the internet sales. And so with that, and if we can get, if this other passes, I think it will make a tremendous amount of difference going forward.
Sure.
I did bring my estimate. I think y'all get them from time to time. The BP estimates.
Uh-huh.
We did lose $93,000 from our April estimate to our July final. We lost $93,000 from the first April estimate to the July final. And you know, that's a very fluid.
Did they give any justification or reason? Was it?
Well, no.
was it-
I mean, what it's based off of is you know, the BEP pie
Attendance.
is so big. Yeah, it's attendance and physical capacity
Right.
of all the other counties together.
Right.
And I don't know, but you know, in COVID, I think they figure the BEP on months 2 and 3 and 6 and 7, and since they won a month 7, they use month 6 again. So I don't know if that, obviously that calculation could change it across the state, but they did have to calculate it a little differently than they would, because they didn't have kids in school the last month.
So from the original estimate
From
to
April.
what it actually was,
Yeah,
it was 93,000 less.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Question?
One question on that one, BEP, the funding for starting school comes off of the January, February, 7 months in, 3/4 in, is that correct? From last year's,
It comes off the prior year.
like 3/4 way through the year?
No, Mr. Bill, I believe it's for the whole year.
Okay.
So like next year's BEP will be off the year that we just closed.
Okay. So the funding there for your.
There's nothing
Enrollment.
that's gonna happen in the current 2021 year that's gonna affect our 22 estimate.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
They, and that estimate was given to us in April, which
Yeah.
is way
That, you know, that,
before everything's even
that,
filed.
that die has already been cast.
Okay.
Okay. Other business, I had just for everybody, please support the sales tax referendum. We've already talked about that. Mayor, did you want to address it, or do you have anything else that you need to bring to our attention? Mr. Satterfield?
Oh, I did want to say one thing, if you don't mind, before you leave
Please.
me. We are working on a educational plan that we've been working on for weeks. That's part of the state plan too. And the hopefulness is we will have this ready by Monday for dissemination, and it's gonna be like everything you wanted to know but was afraid to ask. So it's going to address nutrition, transportation,
Okay.
elementary school, middle school, in the COVID situation, and I think it will be a really good tool for families, and we plan to get that out on Monday.
You gonna distribute that to the students? If
We're,
they
we're,
come
we,
in, you gonna put it on the
it could
website?
be, yes, we're gonna put it on
All
the
of it.
website in a PDF form, so.
Okay. Is it a single page type thing?
Oh,
Is it
no,
multi-page?
it could be, it's still in process, it could be 25 or 30 pages
Okay.
when we get done with
Like
it.
a
What I
guide
figured.
manual.
Mm-hmm.
Being the devil's advocate, what are you gonna do if somebody tries to put their children on the bus with no mask?
Well, we've been through that
I wonder if you
scenario.
thought about that.
Yes, sir. We're gonna keep disposable masks on the bus. So if there's a child standing on the road, we're not gonna leave him, but we're gonna put him on the bus and we're gonna give him a disposable mask like you have. And then the bus driver is gonna do a disciplinary report and send him to the office when they get to school.
And then it'll roll from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a mother just quizzing the heck out of me the other night. About, well, what do you do next? What do you do next? I said, it's progressive discipline. You know, not wearing a mask is a level 1 misbehavior. She said, what's a level 1 misbehavior? I said, it's the lowest level of discipline a student can receive. What do you get for that? Well, the principal has a list of options.
Full card.
They can warn them, counsel them.
Don't do that no more.
Yeah. You know, but if it continues to proceed, it could go all the way to a level 4, which could equate to an expulsion.
Right.
So if you go, start
Or
out,
losing the right to ride the bus.
Right.
so if they come, you know, with a mask, you stop right then, give them a mask. That's kind of like a warning. They're not gonna get written up for that particular time. They're going, is that like a warning
Well,
telling them, you know?
see, what you're
that
doing
they're
now,
not
you're
gonna-
actually asking a question of how will the principal deal with it? You see what I'm saying? So I don't know exactly what the circumstances are.
Well, I mean, I just didn't know if there's, you know, like a rule that you're gonna go by, you know.
Well,
Well, but there's so many variables that go into that, Linda, like little Johnny Kerr gets on the bus and his parent didn't have a mask to give him, he takes the disposable mask
Right.
and gets on, and no problem.
Right.
Or, little Johnny Kerr gets on and big Johnny Kerr comes with him and proceeds to tell you in no uncertain
yeah.
terms that he
Yeah.
don't wear no
Well, I
mask.
mean, that's definitely.
Well, that's a whole
that's
different
obvious right
situation.
there, but-
It is.
That's a whole, you
But I
know.
mean, you kinda like, even if that scenario, are you still giving them a warning, yeah, you know?
Well, what they're
Need to
talking,
wear that.
what they're talking
Possibly,
about
but-
is just like over here in court, you get somebody who gets convicted of something and goes to sentencing, the judge has a range of what he can do, but it's
Right.
up to the judge as to what that sentence is
But
gonna
when a
be.
parent
That's a
tells
good
you
example.
they
Based on the
never gonna wear a
factors.
mask,
Well, that's.
a warning don't work too well.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm saying, I mean, you tell them that's the warning, you know, instead of disciplining the kid right there, you know what I'm saying?
well, what I'm saying is the child will be disciplined from the moment he don't wear the mask.
Right.
That discipline may be a warning, it may be counseling, you know,
Yeah,
it may, you know, but I mean, there will be some,
Somebody try it.
there'll be some form of discipline.
And they may not even have a mask. It may be a
That's right.
problem too.
And we're gonna furnish masks for students that don't have them.
right.
But there's gonna be some that just wanna try us.
We got a guy in Nashville, got him sued now, says it's unconstitutional.
That's good you have them right there, cause a lot of them will lose them.
And everybody knows that ain't going nowhere.
I don't think we'll either.
I think the big thing about wearing a mask, and I really, 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 really hope that our teachers
Well, your
and our
faculty,
faculty
it's important.
can impress upon students that the wearing of a mask is not for you,
No.
but it's for your neighbor. And by, you know, you show love and kindness by what you do for others. And I really, really believe that our children will grasp that concept and probably go home and teach their parents the importance of wearing a mask. And hopefully, Tri-Star County can stay healthy so that we can stay in school.
They would be good examples, and
Yeah.
I know our teachers are great examples, and.
Sure.
And the last thing we want is a teacher to get sick, and
Yeah.
then you know, every kid might still be able to come to school, but, you know, even with a sub, you know, you can only go so far there and stuff, so, you know, not everybody can explain quantum physics like Landon Govey. You know, Landon's a great teacher, but if Johnny Kerr was taking over for him, them kids in trouble till Landon comes back.
No doubt.
I'm sorry.
You're good. Appreciate you mentioning that. Anything else you wanna,
No, just
anybody else have any questions or statements, Mayor, anything, committee members?
Seeing no public here for public comment, I make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor, please say aye.
Whoa.
We are adjourned.
I was kind of surprised we didn't have some of our protesters.
Well,
at this
I
meeting.
kind of thought we might, I did, actually thought we might.
Here, protesters?
They caught
Oh, yeah.
they caught as much as they could get through last week, right?
Well,
Take all their
Well,
questions
they
and then answer.
protested. Mr.